I want to say welcome to everyone, and let's start with a little sit, say 10 minutes, and then we'll start. do the robe chant together. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teacher, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. I feel like I'm not looking at you guys, so I'm gonna roll around here better so I can see you. There we go. So I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever pertains to you, wherever you are right now. And welcome to Inquiry. Flint, I believe, will be back next week. So I'm filling in for today. So what I'd like to do today is something a little bit different. I would like to invite you on a journey with me. And instead of talking about some of our teachings, our boundlessness and emptiness and no self, interconnection, I'd like to have us experience it. So we're going to be using the body to experience some of these things, hopefully. And I'll be doing that through shifting. And I've been doing a lot of teaching on that recently. And what I'm referring to is a book by Locke Kelly, who's a non-dual teacher. And he talks about shifting into freedom. And so I was going to do that. We'll all do it together. And then we'll probably do a little exercise, and then there'll be time for questions or whatever. So this technique, it goes as follows. So we sit comfortably, get yourself comfortable, and then just to set, it's like in meditation, set a gaze in front of you, a soft gaze, not looking down like we do usually in meditation, but just looking straight out, but not looking, it's not looking. It's just a gaze. It's not fixing on anything particularly. It's just looking out. So we start there. And first of all, we're going to work with the ordinary mind. I'm going to talk about that for just a minute. So, as most of you know already, the ordinary mind is a wonderful thing. However, it limits us a lot. And how it limits us is, if we think about it, this body, this self, looks through our eyes, and we look out at the world, and automatically there's a separation between this self and everything out there. So that's what the mind does really well. It separates things, categorizes them, and then from that we form opinions and judgments, we do analysis, and this is important for a lot of activities. But when we're talking about such things, the inconceivable things such as no self or boundlessness or emptiness, it's not very helpful because it's dividing things up. So what we want to do is kind of circumvent the mind. The mind, usually because our awareness refers to our mind a lot. We go to the mind for our identity so often. That's what the mind is all the time doing. Oh yes, identity, this is who I am. and this is the way things are. So we want to kind of circumvent that. So the next step is dropping our awareness, dropping it down below the neck, and you can go straight into the heart if you like. We're going for open-hearted awareness, or we drop it to the belly, which is another kind of awareness, but awareness nonetheless. Or we can actually locate awareness anyway, but we'll just make it simple and say just drop it down below the neck, either in the heart or in the belly. So then we will, what we're going to do is consider, again, I'm going to go back to the ordinary mind for a moment, a representation of how the mind, ordinary mind works. I kind of look at it as looking at things with our hands up around. So we just have what's in view straight ahead of us. We have limited view. So if one were to put their hands up there, you might feel what that's like. It feels like, anybody can try it and see what that's like. And does anybody, Jessica, what do you notice?
I noticed that I can't see in my periphery vision at all.
Mm-hmm.
A much more limited ability to see.
Yeah, it's like having blinders on. It's very limited. To me, it feels very claustrophobic as well. There's not much space. You got to turn your head to see anything. So then as we begin to shift our awareness out, we're going to expand our awareness slowly out. It's not so much about periphery view, because we're not looking, but it's just about expanding the awareness, just slowly out, say to here. And then notice what that feels like, as opposed to here. So right away, you'll probably notice, Maria, since you did it, you're muted.
Yeah, there's just like it's almost like a bit of tension relaxes and there's a bit more space. I feel more spacious.
Yeah. So this is where we're headed, to more spaciousness. So we notice a little more spaciousness here. We're more aware of the space has started to get bigger. And then we pop out a little bit more, just slowly, and notice what that's like. And that is even more spacious. For me, it gets easier to breathe. And I'm not really looking at what's in front of me, but I'm aware. You know, we start to tune into the body, and the body is aware, has so much intuitive intelligence. It starts to give us information. So our awareness is expanded on a lot of different levels. And then we can pop out even further. And we notice there's a difference here too. It's even more spacious. Even more spacious. And there are less, noticing things less. I mean, I'm not noticing them as things so much. I guess that's what I want to say. So it's starting to feel a little bit, feeling the boundlessness, even of being right here, right now. And as we go out further, that increases. So this is the basic shift, the shift into awareness, the shift into freedom. So from this place, we can go to, if you have a picture of the sky, either it's have awareness of sky, either you can, if you're near a window, or even if you're not, you're acquainted with sky. And just put your awareness on sky. And what do you notice there? So, I'll give you my experience because we're not really interacting here, but so when I'm shifted out and I'm with sky, I do see things. I see a bird flying through the air. And I realize automatically that sky is a narrow, limited word that doesn't really say what sky is. It's like sky is a whole universe unto itself, full of things flying through it. The sun, the warmth of the sun coming down is flowing through it. An airplane with people in it are part of the sky, albeit temporarily, perhaps. The sound of the engine comes through, down, through the sky. It's its own universe, boundless universe, the sky. And where does it stop? How high is it? How low is it? Are we part of the sky? So we can be part of the sky, be with the sky for a moment. And what is that like? So why don't we just take 5 minutes and be with sky, sky mind. Sky mind that has wind, sky mind that has hot and cold moving through, all kinds of weather. All kinds of things, butterflies and dragonflies and mosquitoes and whole universes are part of sky. Can you see yourself in sky? Are you part of sky? Oh my gosh, what happened to the time? Is it really 12:56? Oh geez, I'm so sorry. I thought, I didn't think any time went by. Oops, okay, so we better come back from sky for a moment. And we've got a couple minutes, 5 minutes or a couple of minutes for any questions. I'm so sorry, guys.
Laurie, it's okay. I think we actually end at 1:30, so you're all good.
Oh, shoot, thank you. Okay, never mind. Okay, so that's good. We're right where we need to be then. Okay, so now instead of the abrupt come back from sky, we can come back slowly. And I'd like to, I'm curious about other people's experience, if they had any sort of experience of the sky. Yeah, and then if anybody wants to jump off into something else, that's okay too. Could I have the whole gallery? Yeah, that's great, thank you. Okay, Jeanette.
So first of all, I wanted to call it Sky Heart or Sky Body, because every time I thought mind, I'd snap back into my head.
Yeah.
And so I was really, when I opened out all the way and I stayed there, I wasn't able to stay there all the time, but there was one moment where my chest just started feeling just this immense compassion for everything. It was really moving. I almost wanted to cry. It was really something special.
Yeah, you dropped into your heart. Yeah. That's heart awareness, something heart awareness. Yeah,
That's all.
thank you.
Thank you.
Rosemary?
So I had different sections to it. I'll see what I can, I still feel I'm a little bit there. So I was experiencing the generosity of the sky, thinking of the air that it provides. So there was a lot of, I think in the first shifting that we did, I was feeling a lot of connection as I shifted out. And yeah, so then it felt very light and buoyant. So that was another feeling. And the generosity without the realization of of what it gives. It was, but it was quite a nurturing feeling. And the original shifting was restful and calm. That was something else that I got from the original one. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I don't see anybody else that's raising their hand. So, the reason I've gotten into this particular technique and why I like it is, well, part of it is just wonderful or even just have a glimpse of this idea of boundlessness and the compassion and support that we have all around us, just to appreciate that. And sometimes it's hard for me. I forget that. So it's really nice to dip into it and remember. And it's also a lovely place to come from in dealing with other difficult situations or different, maybe working with difficult people you might have difficulties with. Because I've noticed that the opinions drop away, so I can just deal in the moment and not be charged up about something. So that's what's really lovely about it too. So yeah, that's why I've been particularly studying it and teaching it so much recently, because I think it's a really nice practice. Maria.
Here we go. Hi, yeah, it just reminded me of something that Flint said about there's always a piece behind the tangled display. And I think for me, as I was shifting and thinking about, I was imagining the sky because it's quite dark here. So I was kind of imagining myself sat in my yard and looking at the sky. And there's something about how it kind of takes me from this outline of my ordinary self and my ordinary mind and all my caught upness. And I know that if I sit in my yard and look at the sky and just shift, all that kind of drops away, and I can feel the spaces in between all the caught upness, all the tangledness, and the oxygen it allows the oxygen to get round, and I can pay attention to the space and just be with everything else without being caught up, just observe it and see it, and like you were talking about, offer it compassion and just be gentle with it, rather than this, caught upness that's there's no space or oxygen for anything. So it was just lovely just to feel the air, the space between everything, and to just let go, in that space, and feel the tensions in my body begin to release, the headache, the little pressure on the sides of my head, and my jaw began to relax, and it's like almost letting go of all the thoughts and everything that then cause all the tension. So it was like letting go of thoughts, but then the bodily tensions released as well, they followed. And then, like you said, it was like an easier breathing, like a more relaxed space. So yeah, it was a really wonderful experience. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's like that you make your container much bigger. So those issues that are, a tangle, it's like you can deal with it. You can hold, you can see it and not be overwhelmed by it because it's in a bigger container.
Yeah, it's like you're coming from a different place within yourself. You're not coming from that ordinary caught up mind where it's just all frantic or panic. It's like you're coming from a different place where there is more space, and like you said, where the container is much bigger. It's like Flint says, how do you know the practice is working? Because the container's getting bigger, and that's how that feels, isn't it? When you shift, it's like, and it can happen automatically. It's like if you just, I do it quite often. I mean, I've talked to you about, whenever I make a cup of tea, I shift. And it's and how amazing that is to use something like that, or stepping out your front door, or stepping into the car. It's like to actually recognize if I use it's become a habit now to shift at those points, and how I can recognize just how I'm here, because I've shifted. I was here, and it's such a different space to live from.
Yeah, absolutely.
So different, from the ordinary sort of caught upness, so much more spacious, and the release, it's like almost like a release, like, it's like I arrive into the space. Like I'm actually here now because I was caught up somewhere in a story or my thoughts, and it's like shifting just kind of helps me to just arrive, like to keep remembering to shift. I keep arriving more fully.
Yeah, it's like you're fully present.
Yeah, yeah. I think we have Sheila up there.
Sheila, how are you? You're muted.
Am I muted? Are you okay?
You're good, ma'am.
Okay. I was just going to share that I rented I bought, what am I doing? I'm renting the 2 rooms in this assisted living because of the 2 great big windows that they have that look out on the courtyard. So that's why I rented these 2 rooms, and the windows are the most wonderful thing. And every morning when I get up, I dress and to go to breakfast, and I wear sunglasses because of macular degeneration. So I need to put on sunglasses to go outside and go through the courtyard to another door that has an automatic opening to go into the breakfast. And then I come back that way. But when I go out in the morning, the first thing I do, of course, for me at least, it's of course, is to look up to the sky and see the clouds. And I don't think anybody's mentioned clouds yet. Mentioned hot and cold and wind and so forth, but the clouds just fascinate me, and they're always different and they're always changing. And the water, as a chemist, I know the little water molecules and atoms and quarks that are even smaller, and not even things that are not things, they're energy. And that all of that I'm looking at, and all that movement and all that spaciousness is energy. And so it makes me want to die that way. I want to go up in those clouds. Then I had a TV show the other day, that was very scientific about how far does our atmosphere go. And it doesn't go very far. And then, man, after you get outside of that atmosphere, it's no thingness. And so, and I just still believe in energy. I still believe in vibrations. So I just want to die that way. I just want to go that way and just keep going into energy and vibrations. And it might be music vibrations. And it might be harmony vibrations that I can harmonize with the little vibration over here and the little vibration over here, and then go back into the no thingness. Anyway, that's my fantasy, and that's my spaciousness. And I just love it every morning. It's always different.
I agree with you there. Thank you so much, Sheila. That's lovely, just lovely. I used to have this practice whenever I left the Zendo in the morning. I would look up at the sky because it was light by then. And I'd look up, and yeah, it's always changing. It's always amazing. Get lost in those clouds. Thank you, Sheila. Rosemary?
So I had a kind of a rough morning before getting here, all to do with time moving on, and my retirement. It's like I think I'm going to be a different person on January 1st. Obviously not true, but there are things shifting in me, and because of this decision I've made. And so when I was here like 5 minutes early before signing on, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take these 5 minutes to shift and see what happens. So the local focus was my fear. And I began to shift out And what shifted was the past kind of receding more. At my awareness, my awareness of the past was, it's obviously it's there, it's always going to be there, but my awareness in that moment was shifting further away, and the present moment was coming forward and expanding. And yeah, so that was such a relief. So it's an example, I guess, of using it as an intervention, when things are really rough. And I'm not sure if it was then or during the 10-minute sit that we did before you talked about shifting. Then at some point, maybe I was still shifting. I don't know, but it's like a drug in a way. Then the largeness of the present moment as it was unfolding was, becoming like this garden and lovely things and just unfolding and unfolding. And then it must have been during the 10 minutes, because the whole group was included in this now, because everybody's garden was like unfolding, and it was like the myriad gardens just, and so and then I came back, to the place that the past has, but it was within a more vigorous present moment, I guess you could say.
It's really lovely.
Yeah, it was so helpful. So
Yeah.
helpful. Thanks
Yeah.
so much for the teaching.
Yeah, like it's again, that container. It's so astounding how much difference that makes in how we deal with things. With something, you still see it and you still feel it, but it's just diminished in size. It's to a manageable size.
Yeah, the perspective shifts.
Perspective shifts. That's what this is all about, perspective shift. It's like, I've said this before, you can look at your problem with your head against the problem is up against the wall, and you have your head against it, and you can't see anything but it. But as you start to move away from it, you begin to get perspective. There's more space around it. It's kind of like that. I mean, we're just adding space, or seeing the space that's there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so. And it really helped with the fear, which has not that much to do with today and everything to do with conditioning and history.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, it helped a lot. So thank you for the teaching.
Nelda. Hi.
Hi. So thank you. You know how much I love doing this practice. I completely just melt into it. And I will try to describe it because it's fairly consistent every time. And I like it very much. And I actually wish we had 3 or 4 hours so that I could stay in the later development of it longer. What happens with me when I shift is, first I'll do the connection to body, but then I'll do connection to awareness. And then I'll connect to the awareness that is outside of me. And the beautiful part about it is that I can create a visual for you, but that visual doesn't even exist. Because the visual is that body falls away. It's my awareness. Actually, you've seen those movies where someone sees a reflection of themselves, but it's not a reflection, it's themselves. And they are putting their touching hands, that same mirror person, but there's no physicality touching. I don't know how else to say it. So when body falls away and this, whatever this is, becomes aware of another awareness, and there's no physicality. It's just an amazing space, is all I can say. It's an amazing place to be.
It's interesting too. It's like, well, to my understanding, it's all awareness.
Mhm.
It's all awareness. And so it's awareness meeting itself.
It just takes me so long to get there that I probably had, I don't know, there's no time either, so I can't tell you how much time I had in that space, but it felt like it took so much longer just, go down that road and then end up in that space. And then I heard Laurie say, "Oh, well, time's up." And I thought, okay, it's all good. I'll come back to it at another time.
Sorry about that.
It's all good.
I've gone way over time. Me and time, we have, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Laurie, for bringing this again.
You're welcome. Thank you. Mail's here.
Laurie, I actually have a question. If it's okay for me to come to the seat with you.
I don't see you.
It's me.
Oh, okay. Now I see you. Yes.
My question is around, so something that I notice about myself and, practices that I've done over the years is that I'm actually really good at being really, really expansive. And I'm not sure that I've learned a lot over time about how that might be even informed by some past trauma and stuff like that. But for me, the challenge is being in the body and remaining in the body. And I've recently heard a line to a song that I love very much. And the very beginning, he says, "How are you going to get free this time? Falling into a blue sky mind." And then the chorus over and over is in and through the body. It's in and through the body. And so my question is terribly formulated, but it's something around, maybe you can sense my question. I'm having a hard time with words about it, but it's something around how do we include everything, or maybe just naming the practice that I have of staying with my body, and how does that fit in with shifting?
Okay. That's a good question. So, yeah. So before we started, for example, over the years, I think I've gotten more and more better at being in my body. For a long time, I cut it off, so I wasn't aware of a lot of things. And over time, and just a regular practice, I've started getting it. So now I'm aware of, when we started, for example, I was very much aware of the heat in my hands. And I could feel, it was like nervousness or a little bit of anxiety. So I could feel that very strongly in my body. And yet, it seems like when I shift, I am not aware of that. It's like I'm not anxious then. So I'm not sure, because the anxiety, I'm not aware of the anxiety. It just I don't feel that because, I don't know, I don't feel it. That doesn't help you any. nonetheless, you're using your body. You're using it through the senses. And you can pay attention to what your body's aware of. That you can do for sure. Are you aware of the warmth of the sun? Are you aware of the cold? Are you aware of the breeze? You can be aware of these sensations for sure. I don't feel the same. I don't feel the same stuff as I do as if I were sitting, for example. Pre this. I just don't feel it because I'm not anxious anymore. I'm relaxed, but you can notice things. You can notice the bodily sensations. Do you have any sensations while it's going on with Skyline?
Yeah, and so what happened for me was really curious and interesting because I looked at Maria and I saw her sky, which is dark, and my sky, which is bright outside my window. And then I instantly felt connected to Maria and to the one sky that is.
Yeah.
Um,
That's really beautiful.
and
So how did you know you felt connection?
mhm. Yeah, I think there's a warmth in my heart around the connection. Yeah.
Yeah, it may just require a very subtle, subtle stuff to pay attention to
Yeah,
in
that's
your expansive mode, because I don't, yeah,
okay. Thank you, Laurie. That's helpful.
it's my provisional answer.
We'll keep the discussion going.
Oh, Becky, hi there. I've got to make one adjustment here. Everybody is on top of you, so I need to move this there. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you very much, Jessica, for bringing up the difficulties with things that might. I mean, certainly for me, I've had dissociation as a factor in my past, and it was one of the reasons I was avoiding meditation, because much of what I ran into when I was younger was about transcendental meditation and so on in a way that I just couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it. And I did have one experience once when I was at the ocean and visiting with some seals, where I chose to explore meditation, and I did have that. But when I came out of meditation, I had no memory of it at all, and I felt like I'd had a really nice rest. It's sort of like a really quick vacation kind of thing, but I couldn't see the point of it. So I just sort of went ahead and went, well, okay, that's not something I'm doing. And then when I started having a Qigong practice that is, all together about movement in the body, that was when I first began to have a real meditation experience as well. But it was, while I was moving, and that my mind was in a meditational that's different a little bit. I mean, it's different than ours, but it's the same too, or it's combining them as more of it, or something like that, where you have mindfulness and bodyfulness, that and so I kind of had that experience with the shift thing too, was that it's I'm not real sure. It's something that I want to explore a little bit more, but I think that it's something that each of us have our different ways. In some ways, I mean, I know they say, okay, there's these forms and these forms, there's these techniques and these techniques, but I think that each of us resonate from where we are and have been differently, and that exploring them gives us more information, and often does give us a wider perspective altogether, but that it's not something that each of us experience in the same way, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, and some things resonate, as you said, and some things resonate for some people, and other people it's like, yeah, you know. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm also glad you named the disassociation. That's something I don't want to advocate at all, disassociation. That's not a healthy thing at all. You've got this includes awareness of what's going on in the present moment.
Well, and I think the fact that we're coming to it through the practice we have and have been nourishing, is that awareness of the moment is the essential part of it all.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so of course, this is something that, I mean, like, I guess it was Rosemary or somebody anyway said about it. It's almost like a drug. There are ways that we can invite things that do shift our bodily chemistry that can be useful, but we also need to stay continually aware of it and intend to invite it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely true about any sort of meditation or any of these techniques within it. There are people that can misuse this kind of stuff, and that's one of the reasons that in Appamada in general, you hear Bill Peg and Flint say, be wary of altered states. And altered states. There's another way that they talk about it, but anyway, that's what they're talking about. I don't consider this really altered, because I don't see it. With maybe slightly altered in the way that your perception is different, but it's not. There's the awareness component, so that you're not just blindly feeling something or out of this world sort of thing without being aware of what's going on at the same time.
But the whole idea of, and it's in the chants and so on as well, the whole idea of our mind and body falling away from us, is a place that I think is confusing for some people.
It is.
To even imagine it. And yet it is a wondrous thing when we are there, but with awareness.
With awareness. It has to be with awareness. Otherwise, you're just,
Yeah. And we do all kinds of things that alter our state in many ways. I mean, when we smile, it creates endorphins, and there we are in a slightly different state.
Yeah. And it's a good thing.
Yeah, but this is part of why we have each other to talk to about it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I really appreciate you bringing all that up. It's a very important side of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, as always. Oh, I think it's time. In fact, it's past time. So we'll just do, one chant and then oh, Sheila. We got it.
Just a quickie. The moment when you realized your time was up, I challenge everybody to process their state and their shift in that moment when you suddenly brought us back.
Yeah.
What is that? And what is that like in your life? And what is that about?
Okay. Thank you. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding the self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. Being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding the self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. Being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding the self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. Being just this moment, compassion's way. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Laurie. What a wonderful conversation. Thanks everyone for being here with us. If you'd like to make a contribution to Appamada, you may do so on the website at appamada.org/contributions, and that goes directly to our programs, facilities, and our wonderful teachers like Laurie. So every bit helps. Thank you all. And Maria, are you?